Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, with all the issues in the Middle East, the conflict between Israel and Hamas, they've been bringing a lot of issues into the West because of mass migration and the multiculturalism without vetting people's backgrounds. We're having a lot of problems here, including the fact that we have the Remembrance Weekend right now coming up in a couple of days. And you can't really find poppy sellers in a lot of places. Now, depending on where you are in the country, you might actually find some. But I personally have struggled over the last couple of days to get the new ones that I needed, because again, they always break every 2 days. And the Sun front page said, "Where have all the poppies gone?" Because of everything else that's been happening since last weekend, where a number of the poppy sellers struggled to obviously promote their cause because of all the protests in train stations. We are where we are now. Are we going to get disruptions this weekend, or are we going to get some sort of largely peaceful protests? With us, we have our new contributor to Tousi TV. As you guys know, I'm trying to expand the channel, and we now have Chloe Dubbs, who's joined us to tell us what she thinks about this issue. And of course, everything's been going on for the past few weeks. Chloe does videos herself on her channel as well, and for Reason and other places. She goes on GB News. Welcome to 2C TV, Chloe. What is going on in the country?
Well, it seems like all British patriotism is gone. It is absolutely disgraceful what is happening, and a great shame that elderly people who are just trying to give back to their community and show some kind of respect for the veterans that died for this country and for the freedoms that we have today, that they're suddenly being attacked and pulled in to all this madness when they really haven't done anything wrong. And all of this that's going on, you have to question, what are the motives of these people who are attacking people just trying to sell poppies? And, I really don't think that the pro-Palestine movement is really doing themselves any favors here, because the message that it is sending is that they want to disrespect the people that fought against anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And so, it just really reinforces this idea that the people protesting for Palestine hate the Jews and want them eradicated if they can't even respect the people that fought against Hitler and fought against anti-Semitism.
It is insane. We have this picture, for example, that shows Liverpool Street in London, 31st of October, massive protest. There were photos of them being around the poppy sellers. And then yesterday, no volunteers at the station anymore because they're scared, especially this weekend. They're probably not going to be there. We've also heard stories reported on 2ctv.com. The veteran poppy seller who was punched in, I think it was Edinburgh? No, well, he was in Scotland somewhere, by the protesters. And you yourself have also talked about online other incidents, including in Rochdale, some graffitis, right? What's going on there?
Yeah, exactly. So the cenotaph in Rochdale has been graffitied with Free Palestine. And, simultaneously, I have a bunch of people commenting on my post saying, you're crazy and just stirring up drama to suggest that the Free Palestine protesters are going to try and attack the cenotaph on the weekend, that they're going to try and attack Remembrance Day. They're saying to me, they're not related at all. We're just trying to voice our views on a separate issue. We're not going to interfere. But I think what has happened in Rochdale, and then of course what has happened with this constant attack on the poppy sellers, clearly gives us a good taste of what is going to happen on the weekend. I mean, there is just no way that the Met Police are going to be able to contain this protest. It's all well and good if the organisers of the protest tell the Met Police, oh, we're not going to disrupt the 2-minute silence, we're not going to disrupt Remembrance Day, our protest starts later in the afternoon. But, can the organisers of that protest control the supposedly million people that they are bringing to London? Even if only 1% of those million people intend to disrupt Remembrance Day, that is still 10,000 people. I really don't see this weekend going smoothly. But I mean, if there's one upside that comes out of it, it is that it will really put people off the pro-Palestine movement and really show them for what they are. I'm not saying that everybody in the pro-Palestine movement is hateful and anti-Semitic, but there are growing numbers of them. I mean, we've seen, was it in LA, that a pro-Israel protester was murdered. I mean, that is just absolutely vile that we have got to that point, that if you don't agree with someone, that you murder them on the streets. And after this guy was murdered, the people around them were still sort of celebrating and still protesting for Palestine. They weren't even disgusted by a dead man on the floor. it really sickens me. I don't
I
really
mean,
have much faith left in humanity, to be
no.
quite honest.
No, it is. It is. I mean, one of the sad realities is you mentioned about individuals at these protests, but also you mentioned percentage. Even a small percentage become
Mm,
rogue. That's a lot of people. But in reality, there are two issues in terms of the type of people who go to these protests. There are different types of people, yes, but in terms of being anti-Semitic or being anti-West, uh, the fact that they chant a couple of things from the river to the sea, that's one of them. And when they say free
mm.
Palestine, they need to explain what that means. Free from what? Free from whom? And if they're saying free from Hamas, then fine. But if they're somehow saying basically that whole land is Palestine, that is also anti-Semitic again. But the concern is not really, oh, is everybody anti-Semitic? It's mostly the fact that right now for tomorrow, to Saturday, the concern is how many of them could potentially be aggressive. And that's why even Tommy Robinson, who's been saying that he's going to be there on Saturday, he's had to basically be pressured to go on Twitter, make a video, and tweet saying, by the way, everybody who's going to be there from the patriotic side, behave and be respectful, at least for our fallen heroes' sake. Because even if you have one or two, what the mainstream media, Talk TV and GB News would call football hooligans, cause trouble, then you're going to get 5 times more from the other side, and then that's going to be more problematic anyway. But that will undermine our side, the normal British people side, who would say, well, see, we got the Islamists being crazy, but you got all the football hooligans being crazy too. What are your feelings about this weekend? Do you think, unfortunately, we're going to get some tensions?
I mean, it's inevitable that we're going to have some tensions after what's been happening over the past week. As we've spoken about, we've had the Rochdale saga. We've had, veterans being attacked and surrounded, just trying to sell poppies. I mean, it is to me clear as day that there is going to be chaos on the weekend. And I think this sort of thing has a snowball effect. You get one or two people in a protest start kicking off and start causing chaos, and then everyone else around them feels riled up and feels, and is also given the impression that that kind of behavior is okay, and it just spreads and spreads and spreads. I really don't see how the Met Police are going to be able to keep this under control. If they do manage to, then kudos to them, but I'm just not convinced by their assurances to the government that they're giving at the moment that they're going to be able to keep this under control.
Well, I mean, the Metropolitan Police every week around, well, today they've done another press release. Every Thursday and Friday, they do it, repeat the same thing. Oh, we're going to keep everything safe. And then they fail, then they apologize, then they do it again. Nothing changes on that front so far. But one main issue is that obviously we're going to be there, Tousi TV, and obviously Chloe is now going to be our contributor. But I think for our safety, I was going to tell you to also join me, but I know what people in the comment section are going to say. They don't even want me to go. They're going to say, "Well, you're going to
Yeah,
take
I
this."
mean, genuinely, I genuinely feel somewhat fearful to go out there on
Yeah,
Saturday,
exactly.
and which is a shame because I would like to go there and pay my respects to those who died for this country.
Yeah,
And what's ironic is that the people that died for this country fought for freedoms like their freedom to protest, and
yeah,
then they're going to go and disrespect them,
yeah,
which I mean, I just think is an absolute disgrace.
yeah.
But I mean, what you've got to bear in mind is, if someone like me, who's young and fit and
And white.
self-defense
And
trained,
white.
feels somewhat apprehensive
Yeah,
about going out onto the streets when pro-Palestine supporters are there. Imagine how the frail
mm.
old people on those poppy stalls
Oh
who
yeah.
don't have the ability to defend themselves against strong young men, how do they feel? I mean, they must be terrified. When I saw the pictures of the stalls at some of the train stations where they're just absolutely surrounded, there wouldn't even be space for them to get up and leave safely if they wanted to. I feel really sorry for them. These old people, they don't deserve this at all.
No, no, absolutely. And then there's a massive concern there. But the whole thing started, people were obviously focusing, rightly so, on the Jewish communities and neighborhoods. But now,
Mm.
obviously, Christians are being targeted, atheists, but the elderly as well, everybody. And that is the main concern. Anyway, thank you, Chloe, for the first contribution. But also, guys, in the comment section, let me know if you want to see or hear more from Chloe Dobbs on Maya Tusi
Oh,
and
being
Andy.
put to the test.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be trouble. Anyway, I'm Maya TC, and we are the media.